Have you ever wondered why your phone screen protector can shatter into hundreds of tiny pieces, yet your car's side windows don't break into dangerous razor-sharp shards? Or why some glass doors in shopping malls seem incredibly strong, even though they're still made of glass? The answer lies in a special manufacturing process that transforms ordinary glass into something much tougher and much safer. Today, we're exploring what exactly tempered glass is, how it's made, and why it's become one of the most important safety materials in modern life. Stick around as we uncover the fascinating science behind tempered glass, right here on History of Simple Things. Glass has been around for thousands of years, but for most of history, it had one major problem. It broke into long, sharp fragments that could cause serious injuries. During the late 19th century, scientists and engineers began experimenting with ways to strengthen glass by heating and cooling it under controlled conditions. One of the earliest patents for thermally toughened glass was filed in France in 1874 by François-Barthélemy Alfred Royer de la Bastille. Over the following decades, the process was refined and improved. By the early 20th century, tempered glass began appearing in industrial applications, and by the mid-1900s it had become a standard safety feature in automobiles, buildings, and public spaces. Today, it is manufactured worldwide and is required by many building and vehicle safety regulations. At first glance, tempered glass looks exactly like ordinary glass. It's just as clear, just as smooth, and often just as thin. The real difference isn't what it's made of, it's how it's treated. Most tempered glass starts as regular float glass made primarily from silica sand, soda ash, and limestone. The transformation happens after the glass has already been cut and shaped. Once it reaches this stage, it undergoes a special heat treatment that permanently changes the way it behaves under stress. The result is glass that's typically around 4 to 5 times stronger than standard annealed glass of the same thickness. It can resist greater impacts, tolerate higher mechanical stress, and handle much larger temperature differences before breaking. The manufacturing process is surprisingly precise. First, the glass is cut, polished, and any holes or notches are added. This has to be done beforehand because tempered glass cannot be cut, drilled, or reshaped afterward without instantly shattering. The prepared glass is then heated inside a furnace to roughly 620 degrees Celsius, 1,148 degrees Fahrenheit, just below its softening point. Once the entire sheet reaches an even temperature, it's rapidly cooled using powerful blasts of air in a process called quenching. This sudden cooling hardens the outer surfaces almost immediately while the inner portion cools more slowly. As the center eventually contracts, it pulls against the already hardened outer layers, leaving the surface under compression and the interior under tension. These internal stresses are what give tempered glass its remarkable strength. The secret is all about compression. Cracks naturally begin at the surface of glass. In ordinary glass, once a crack starts, it can spread quickly across the entire sheet. Tempered glass is different because its compressed outer surface constantly pushes back against forming cracks. Any crack has to overcome this built-in compression before it can grow. That requires significantly more force, making the glass much more resistant to everyday impacts. It isn't impossible to break tempered glass, but it takes considerably more energy than breaking ordinary glass. And when it finally does fail, it behaves in a completely different way. One of the most recognizable features of tempered glass is how it breaks. Instead of producing long, knife-like shards, it explodes into thousands of small, pebble-like cubes with relatively blunt edges. This happens because all of the internal stress created during tempering is suddenly released when the surface layer is breached. The stored energy causes the entire sheet to fracture almost simultaneously, rather than allowing one crack to slowly spread. Although those small pieces can still cause cuts or bruises, they are generally far less dangerous than the large, razor-sharp fragments produced by ordinary glass. That's exactly why tempered glass is classified as safety glass in many applications. Tempered glass is almost everywhere, even if you don't notice it. It's commonly used for car side and rear windows, shower doors, glass tables, office partitions, storefronts, refrigerator shelves, oven doors, and many modern architectural buildings. It's also widely used as screen protectors for smartphones. While your phone's actual display isn't always fully tempered glass, many protective covers are specially tempered to absorb impacts before they reach the screen underneath. Building codes in many countries also require tempered glass in areas where people are more likely to come into contact with it, such as doors, bathrooms, stairways, and low windows. Despite its strength, tempered glass isn't indestructible. Sharp impacts concentrated on its edges can be surprisingly damaging, because the edges don't benefit from the same compressive protection as the flat surfaces. Tiny manufacturing imperfections can also occasionally lead to an extremely rare phenomenon called spontaneous breakage. One possible cause is microscopic nickel sulfide inclusions trapped inside the glass during production. Over many years, these inclusions can slowly change size and create enough stress to trigger unexpected failure. Modern quality control greatly reduces this risk, making such incidents uncommon. Because of its internal stresses, tempered glass also can't be repaired once damaged. If it chips or cracks, the entire panel usually needs replacing. Tempered glass is a perfect example of how changing a manufacturing process can completely transform a familiar material. It's still ordinary glass at its core, but carefully controlled heating and rapid cooling give it exceptional strength and a much safer braking pattern. From protecting passengers in cars to making our homes, offices, and everyday devices safer, tempered glass quietly plays a huge role in modern life. So the next time you tap on a glass door or notice a shattered car window broken into tiny cubes, you'll know there's an incredible amount of engineering hidden inside something that looks perfectly ordinary. Sometimes the strongest materials aren't different because of what they're made from, but because of how they're treated. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.